Hi all, welcome. We will be getting started in just a couple minutes, but we wanted to invite you into the Zoom room. And we'll get started in about 1 minute. Okay, I think we'll get started, even though there's a few folks trickling in. Welcome everyone to Keeping Metro Boston Cool, a public forum on building a heat resilient region. Just to introduce myself, I'm Sasha Shyduroff. I'm a senior clean energy and climate planner at MAPC, and I'm so excited that you are all here with us tonight. Just a notification of recording. So this session is being recorded by the Metropolitan Area Planning Council, MAPC, and we will be retaining the video and also posting it online afterwards. So by continuing to with this virtual meeting, you are consenting to participate in the recorded event. You can take yourself off video, and then the breakout rooms, the discussions won't be recorded, but the main presentation will be. And also just as a public agency, all of our chat transcripts and the recording are public record, and we will send this out by the end of the month. So again, welcome. We are doing this actually not through the Zoom webinar, but through a Zoom meeting. So it means that our chat is open. So please feel free to share in the chat your questions and comments and to use that feature. Your microphone will not be on during the main session. So we'll just ask that you be respectful of the panelists and other attendees. But then during the breakout sessions and discussion, you will be able to take yourself off of mute. And tonight we're going to be covering our heat preparedness and adaptation planning that we've been doing for the Metro Mayor's region of Metro Boston. So right now we are going to be going into our welcome remarks. We are also going to be then telling you a little bit about the heat preparedness and adaptation plan, and then hearing from panelists from across the region, both our nonprofits and cities that have been working on addressing extreme heat. And then we have a session for our virtual open house with 2 breakouts, and then our closing. And it is my pleasure to introduce City Manager Tom Ambrosino from the City of Chelsea. Tom previously served as the mayor of Revere from 2000 to 2012 and is currently serves as the city manager of the City of Chelsea and is responsible for the day-to-day operations and creating an overall vision for the city. And he will be joined by his colleague, Daria Mattis, who's the resilience manager for the newly formed North Suffolk Office of Resilience and Sustainability. So welcome, Tom.
Well, thanks, Sasha. I really appreciate you having me tonight. I want to welcome everyone to this timely discussion about keeping Metro Boston cool. As Sasha said, I'm a city manager here in Chelsea, and I'm currently serving as chair of Metro Mayors. And I've been involved with Metro Mayors since its inception, actually in the early 2000s. And it was a group that was brought together, chief executive officers for the communities in and around Boston, including Boston. And we came together in an effort to deal with difficult issues regionally And we had a lot of success in the 2000s with different issues like municipal group health insurance and the Shannon Grant and local meals tax. But one of our most significant accomplishments was when we established this climate task force in 2015. And then just a year later in 2016, all of the Metro Mayor's communities, and there are 15 of them in and around Boston, committed together to working towards reducing greenhouse gas emissions with the goal of becoming a net zero region by 2050, and with each of us committing to some very specific actions that we had agreed we would complete by 2020. And we were all successful at meeting those goals. I mean, all 15 communities adopted the stressed energy code. We were all designated green communities. We all retrofitted our streetlights to LEDs. And maybe more importantly, or equally importantly, we have been using our sort of collective political influence to advocate for policy change at the state level in the climate change realm, including amplifying the need to address flooding issues like the ones that occur here in Chelsea at the New England Produce Center, which is a critical food distribution center for most of Northeastern United States, pressing as a group for a higher performing net zero building energy code, pushing for the state to do critical investment in the region in things like improvements to the two critical dams in the area, Amelia Earhart and the Charles River Dam. So we've done a lot of important things in the climate change realm. I think here in Chelsea, one of the really important and critical steps we've taken is creating, along with our neighbors, Revere and Winthrop, a regional climate office that's known as the North Suffolk Office of Resilience and Sustainability. That office has been in effect for about a year. We had a lot of great support from MAPC to set the office up, along with a lot of financial support from the Bar Foundation. But it's an office that in just a year has really done some great work, particularly good work in the area of heat preparedness and adaptation. And so I do want to give one of the representatives of that office, Daria Mates, a chance to talk a little bit about the efforts of her office, this North Suffolk Regional Office, in this area. So I'm going to kick it over to Daria.
Thanks so much, Tom. I'm just going to share a few examples of the work that Chelsea is doing regionally and also here in our own community to address extreme heat and climate change. As Tom mentioned, our office, the North Suffolk Office of Resilience and Sustainability, has been around for about a year now, supported by the Bar Foundation and MAPC. We work regionally in Chelsea, Revere, and Winthrop to use our resources more efficiently to address the challenges posed by climate change. And we're working on both local and regional climate work. A few examples of our work locally or regionally, are a social vulnerability and equity assessment that we're currently completing to help guide our future work and ensure that our community's efforts increase equitable resilience for all residents. We're working to spread the word to North Suffolk residents about the Mass Save program, which can help residents increase energy efficiency and brings our region closer to reducing greenhouse gas emissions. You may see us at summer events around Chelsea, Revere, and Winthrop this year. And we're also identifying opportunities to partner together on climate resilience efforts to reduce the impacts of coastal flooding, stormwater flooding, extreme heat, and poor air quality, as a few examples. Here in Chelsea in particular, we've been working on issues of extreme heat for a number of years in collaboration with local partners. The entire city of Chelsea, which is just over 2 square miles, is considered an urban heat island. Temperatures here tend to be higher than surrounding suburban areas. So we've been fortunate to participate in MAPC's COVID Safe Cooling Grant program for the past 3 years. With that funding, the city has installed water fountains and reflective pavement in key areas of the city. as well as distributed air conditioning units and utility subsidies to low-income families. And we're really appreciative to have received additional funding for that work again this year. We also have collaborated with the nonprofit organization Green Roots and the Boston University School of Public Health on the C-Heat program, which has collected heat data from sensors around the city and conducted a photo voice project to share how people experience extreme heat. We're also tackling urban heat with infrastructure investments, such as a cool block around the Chelsea Boys and Girls Club, which will include white roof installation, tree plantings, and a new nearby park, as well as streetscape investments. And I think I will leave it there. We're very excited to be part of this forum tonight and collaborating regionally, both within the North Suffolk region and the MAPC region.
So I guess you can see that urban heat issues are significant in Chelsea and in the other two members of our community. So as Daria said, we're sort of excited to be part of this forum, and we look forward to both the city of Chelsea, and I know my two partner cities, Revere and Winthrop, look forward to collaborating on this plan. So with that said, Sasha, I'll kick it back to you.
Great. Thanks, Tom, and thanks, Daria. That was really great to hear a little bit both about the history of Metro Mayors and the Climate Task Force, and then some of the great work that the city of Chelsea has been doing recently. Yeah, so this is a map of the surface temperature across the Metro Mayors region, which, as Tom mentioned, contains 15 of the municipalities in the urban core of Metro Boston. So, and many of them have a higher land surface temperature. So contributing to urban heat island and may feel hotter than surrounding more suburban areas. So I'm going to take a little bit of time to tell you both about the regional heat preparedness plan and adaptation plan, and a little bit about what we can expect around extreme heat in the coming years here in Metro Boston. So temperatures are rising. As we know, global climate change is causing our global temperatures to rise, which is impacting local weather patterns. And here in Massachusetts, those impacts of climate include things like sea level rise, which includes coastal flooding, more intense storms, urban flooding, and extreme heat, and other things like drought and a wide variety of impacts. But as we've already started to see, our average days over 90, which is what we consider extreme heat, is a day over 90 degrees, is rising. So the historic average has been about 11 days annually. And by 2030, so within the next 10 years, we can see up to 40 days over 90 degrees. The last two summers, we've already hit that 20-day a summer, 20-day a year mark. And by 2070, looking sort of even longer term, we could see up to 90 days over 90, and then potentially even 33 days, a whole month above 100 degrees. Extreme heat is considered a silent killer. So one of the primary reasons why we care about extreme heat as planners and policymakers is that extreme heat is deadly. It causes more deaths than any other natural disaster in the United States. And a recent global study showed that 37% of heat-related deaths across the world could be attributed to climate change. And that while everyone is impacted by extreme heat in some way, some people are more at risk than others for heat-related illnesses, including older adults, people with certain pre-existing conditions, those who work outside, maybe have higher exposure, pregnant people, and then young children under 5 from a health perspective are all at increased risk for heat. Heat also impacts other parts of our economy and our infrastructure. So in addition to the health and safety concerns, extreme heat can damage bridges and roads and public transit and rail. We saw that last summer in the Pacific Northwest heat dome, where physical infrastructure was actually crumbling and melting and being stressed under the high heat that they experienced. It also causes an overload to the electricity grid. So our air conditioners and cooling equipment is working harder during a heat wave and can overload it, causing brownouts and blackouts. And then we also see damage to natural systems. So extreme heat can harm water quality, interact with air quality issues and air pollution, and then can also damage green space. And then on the economic side, we see that extreme heat days can also lead to loss of work hours and impact worker health, and then reduces performance for both workers and school children. Studies show that school children who don't have access to cooling during the school day actually will perform worse on standardized tests and other things during hot weather. So just to kind of give you some local context of what we saw last summer in 2021, we saw 4 distinct heat waves. So a heat wave is defined here in Massachusetts as at least 3 days over 90 degrees. And so really thinking not just about the one-off hot day like we had this past weekend, but thinking about these really extended periods that are also really often really humid, like we had last year. So we had our early 2 heat waves in June, where a lot of communities were just unprepared for early heat that we often think of as in July and August. So there were incidences of affordable housing and senior housing not having turned on their air conditioning. We also saw children having accidents or drownings because they were seeking ways to cool off before lifeguards were on duty. And there's just a lot in the news talking about what can we do now that our region, which historically hasn't seen that many high heat days, is seeing more, and that we're sort of underprepared for this heat. On the flip side, many of our communities have already started working to address heat. So some of the things that Daria mentioned in the city of Chelsea, and what you'll hear from panelists today, really about preparing and adapting to heat. So the top 2 photos I actually think are from City of Chelsea. One is the air conditioner distribution to low income residents, and then also some installations of water fountains and hydration stations. And then also cities are installing splash pads and cooling infrastructure, and community organizations are handing out cooling kits for folks. So back in 2020, the Climate Task Force had been talking a lot about what could we do around extreme heat and better coordinate on these issues. And we got a grant from the Municipal Vulnerability Preparedness Program from the state to work regionally to develop a heat preparedness and adaptation plan that focuses both on public health and land use planning interventions, and to work with municipalities and community-based organizations in the region. The planning process was led both by the Climate Task Force as well as a heat prep committee that has been meeting regularly over the past year and a half, bringing together municipal staff from planning, public health, and other sectors, and then stipends to some community-based organizations and nonprofits to engage in the process. We've done a fair amount of community and stakeholder engagement, including our public forum last spring, some outreach and education events last summer, a community survey, and then this winter and spring, we hosted 2 roundtables with municipal staff and emergency managers from the region. And then we've also done a lot of data updates and research, including updating our land surface temperature maps, the social vulnerability index, and creating new maps to better understand how we're experiencing extreme heat here in Metro Boston, and thinking about who are those that are going to be most vulnerable and exposed to extreme heat. So the resulting plan that will be launched and finished, I think, within the next month or so, and available. We're still in the process of finalizing it, but the resulting plan, we have 4 goals: to manage and reduce risks associated with extreme heat, increase preparedness for extreme heat events like heat waves, advance climate equity and reduce some of the disparities that we see in people's ability to respond to extreme heat, and then, of course, inform and build capacity to prepare and respond both at the municipal, regional, and state level. And we've developed a set of recommendations of strategies and actions for municipalities to take, as well as what we can be doing together under the Metro Mayor's region, and work together on things like cool communication. So how do we do education and outreach that's in a culturally appropriate way around extreme heat that will help folks understand and better prepare. Cool communities, so thinking about how social resilience and social networks can help communities be more resilient. Cooling the built environment, so thinking not just about our buildings and our homes and preparing our homes for heat, but also thinking about the urban tree canopy and our open space. Cooling the region is focused on advocacy efforts that we can do together, both regionally and around the state, to affect policy change. And then we also have a 5th bucket specifically around recommendations for emergency preparedness and response. So that plan is going to be available, as I said, towards the end of next month, and we're actively working as a coalition to finalize that and then to implement the plan itself. And with that, I want to pass it off to Jeanette Pantoja, who is a senior public health and climate planner at MAPC. She's going to be our moderator tonight and help introduce our panelists. And she has been my co-conspirator on many of our heat-related projects here at MAPC. So Jeanette, with that, I will hand it over to you.
Good evening, everybody. So again, my name is Jeanette Pantoja. I'm a public health and climate planner at MAPC. Before I introduce the speakers, I just want to say that in the last 2 years, we have been able to really deepen relationships with a lot of municipal planners and public health practitioners and community advocates around tackling urban heat, catalyzed by both this planning process and other MVP funded initiatives in the COVID Safe Cooling Grant Program. There's been a great opportunity to just learn about what is an emerging area of work with a lot of need associated with it. So I'm just going to start and introduce folks one by one. So one of our speakers will be Erin Alyssa Noel, who works in the City of Somerville's Office of Sustainability and the Environment. Erin works as a community engagement specialist and works on various programs and outreach efforts. We're also joined by Aaron Greiner, who's an urban designer who's passionate about making cities that are happy, healthy, vibrant, sustainable, and equitable. He's a graduate of Olin College and founder and director of Culture House. Dira Johanneff currently works with the Charles River Watershed Association as a program associate for community resilience at the Charles River Watershed Association. Her role focuses on coalition building with town and city staff, elected officials, and watershed residents to foster conversation around increased community resilience to climate change impacts. And lastly, John Bolduc is an environmental planner with the City of Cambridge's Community Development Department, where he manages climate change initiatives, including the city's climate change vulnerability assessment, the climate change preparedness and resilience plan, coordination of the Climate Protection Action Committee, administration of the building energy use disclosure. After 25 years with the City of Cambridge, John will be retiring in the next few months, and I am personally grateful for a lot that I've gotten to learn from John. So these are just some of our partners in this work, and we're excited and privileged to have them, talk about their work today. So I will pass it first to Aaron, if you may. Oh, yeah.
Which Aaron is the question?
Well, given that Culture House slide is up, maybe
Yes.
You, Aaron Greiner?
Aaron Greiner, sorry.
That must be me.
Sorry about
Fantastic. Thank you very much. So hi, I'm Aaron. I'm the director of Culture House. We're an urban design nonprofit that works with communities to improve livability by transforming underutilized spaces into vibrant social infrastructure. And I want to define that term first for anyone that's not aware. Social infrastructure. So that is defined as the physical places and organizations where we build and form community connections. So think places like parks, like coffee shops, schools, or places of worship. And at Culture House, we help communities turn empty spaces, what you see on the left in this slide, into welcoming pop-up public spaces like what you see on the right. Next slide, please. So we call these places culture houses, and they're a bold new kind of public space. So we describe them as a living room for the community, a common meeting place that feels like home. We describe these community pop-up spaces as an urban design test kitchen. So we use the kind of pop-up temporary framing to create a low friction space to test out new urban design ideas. They're also a third space, the kind of space between home and work, an indoor public park. So taking that vibrancy that happens on a nice day in the park and turning it into a year-round occurrence. And lastly, these spaces are host for their programming. So we partner with local organizations and individuals to host events and programs, all tailored to meet the needs and wants of the community. And we've created these Culture House community public spaces with communities all over the greater Boston area. Next slide, please. So why are spaces like Culture House important, especially in the context of what we're talking about today, which is heat preparedness and extreme heat? And the reason is because neighborhoods that have more places to connect and form community have better resilience during extreme heat and other crises. When sociologist Eric Kleinenberg completed a study of the 1995 Chicago heat wave, he found that even after accounting for all their factors, neighborhoods with less social infrastructure and more vacancies had a significantly higher mortality rate than those that had more access to social infrastructure. And this was simply because in areas with better social infrastructure, neighbors had the physical places to build and form community networks. And when the heat wave hit, these networks sprung into action as people checked in on neighbors and provided impromptu local mutual aid, which saved countless lives. And we're actually seeing similar impacts with the COVID pandemic, where communities with less access to social infrastructure are seeing worse outcomes because, again, that lack of connection. Next slide, please. So the question is, how can we create good, equitable social infrastructure that help prepare us for our increased climate emergencies? And we've developed at Culture House a robust 5-step process that centers deep community engagement and a thoughtful design process to create spaces that center equity, access, and livability. Our cyclical process includes research, community engagement, design, building out of spaces, operations, and impact reporting. And we believe that by creating good social infrastructure in every community, we can have a more resilient, livable, and equitable world. And with that, I look forward to answering questions and talking more in the breakout rooms. Thank you very much.
Next speaker is Erin Noel from the City of Somerville.
Hi, so I'll be talking about the Keep Cool Somerville program that we had, and we'll be focusing on the Photo Voice project. So next slide, please. So Keep Cool Somerville is a program that was funded by MAPC grants, and we partnered with MAPC as well to research heat preparedness strategies and conduct community engagement activities. The goal was to understand how residents and organizations' perception of heat and how it impacts them, and also their heat coping mechanisms and interest and capacity for heat health interventions. And there's a variety of different ways that we approach this. We did interviews with stakeholders. We led a photo voice project that I'll be talking more about with residents. And then we also did focus groups and released a public survey. Next slide, please. Oh, actually, so on the last slide, there's two examples of the project. We had the surveys up there on the fences so people could like take pictures of how they dealt with hot days. And then this was also an entry that was submitted about how some people, when they're sleeping, they wet their PJs so they can stay cool during really hot nights, which was very, I've never heard that, so that was very impactful for me. Next slide, please. So the Photo Voice project, it used photography and art, which was really cool to have residents share their experiences and how they dealt with heat and how they kept cool. And the images and stories helped shape our strategies at the city and helped inform community organizations and even the residents themselves how to adopt better practices to prepare for heat in the future. The participants also filled out a survey sharing their experiences about heat and what they did to keep cool during the summer. And some of the questions were, at what temperature do you start to feel too hot? In the summer, how frequently did you feel hot inside your home? And over the past several summers, what steps have you taken to keep cool on hot days? Next slide, please. And this is an example that I thought was very interesting because laundromats, if you've ever been in one, they do produce a lot of heat, but this resident said that they use the laundromat as a place to escape extreme heat and also extreme cold. So it really showcased how a lot of people have found a way to deal with this heat and how they've taken it upon themselves. And this is a great way so we can like partner with these places and help our constituents because they shouldn't be dealing with these problems on their own. It should be something that we are helping our constituents deal with. And so that was the project, and it's a very interesting project. We're hoping to continue it possibly in the future, especially with this summer being projected to be really hot as well. And if you have any questions or if you want to even do this survey, it's still up on our website and you can do that as well. Oh, that was the next slide, I'm sorry.
Thanks, Erin. And next, we're going to be joined by Dira from the Charles River Watershed Association.
Thank you. So I'm actually going to start with a little bit of background. So for the Charles River watershed. So in our watershed, we have both urbanized areas and rural areas, as you see in the pictures on the slide. The lower watershed, where you find Boston and Somerville, is considered to be more developed than our upper watershed. And those areas can actually contribute to more pollution to the Charles River. Next slide. And that's because in our lower watershed, there are more impervious surfaces, which is actually the gray on that watershed map on the left-hand side. And impervious surfaces force stormwater to run off of those impervious sidewalks, your roads, your rooftops, picking up pollution and trash along the way, which can then clog our storm drains, flood our neighborhoods, and also end up in the river, causing things like toxic cyanobacteria blooms, which is a threat to public health, as well as invasive species growth, which can chokehold the river. And with extreme heat, which is today's topic, droughts have become an issue for the river, Lowering water levels can impact the animals in the river in terms of reducing habitat space. Lower or shallower water can also mean that the river can heat up faster, which actually allows cyanobacteria to thrive because they grow better and faster in warmer temperatures. So we actually see more cyanobacteria blooms in the summer as well. But impervious surfaces, previous slide. Impervious surfaces also exacerbate heat impacts in the watershed, especially in city and town centers, because all of those tall buildings and dark pavements and parking lots hold and trap a lot of heat, creating your urban heat islands in many parts of our watershed and threaten the health and safety of our watershed residents. Next slide, please. And so at CRWA, we work with the towns and cities in our watershed to help promote and implement green stormwater infrastructure, or GSI for short. And GSI is a range of measures that help store, filter, and absorb water where it lands, or stormwater where it lands. Essentially mimicking or recreating the natural landscape, adding pervious ground like your grass and your trees and your rain gardens. Examples of that is the tree box filter at a Boston Public School, which we help to do maintenance, and a bioswale on a Watertown sidewalk. These all store and let stormwater infiltrate back into the ground, which help improve river quality. But GSI's biggest co-benefit by adding green space into built environments is helping cool down neighborhoods, because it helps replace those dark impervious surfaces with trees and add green space. And so a lot of what we do, or some of the projects that we're currently on, is with the town of Natick to work on their Green Streets program, and as well as the town of Milford to add rain gardens and GSI to their communities to create more green space and reduce urban heat island impacts, as well as help manage stormwater runoff. And I'm happy to answer any questions that people have about GSI in the breakout rooms as well. Thank you.
Great. And our next and last speaker is John Boldup from the city of Cambridge. Sorry, was I muted? I was trying to introduce John. I'll say it again. Our next speaker is John Boldup from the city of Cambridge. Sorry about that.
Yeah, thanks. I was able to unmute. So I'm going to talk about urban heat from the perspective of our work in Cambridge. So we address urban heat risks by reducing exposure through urban heat island reduction and by increasing the ability to cope with extreme heat. So for urban heat island reduction, we basically have three levers. We're working with preserving and adding urban tree canopy, increasing ground and roof vegetation, and to some degree vegetated walls, and increasing surface albedo, or how much solar radiation is reflected back out. So I don't have enough time to go into all the points here, but there are considerations that need to be taken into account as we deploy different strategies. I've learned that managing urban heat islands is a complex matter, both in terms of the physics and the planning process. So as examples, it's important to take into account factors such as that new trees take a long time to grow large enough to provide effective shade, or that green roofs need adequate soil moisture to provide some of their cooling benefits through evapotranspiration. So I've listed some of the actions Cambridge is taking in regards to vegetation through our Resilient Cambridge plan on the left. Next slide. So So these strategies that involve trees and vegetation are very effective. So I wasn't arguing against doing them. And we need to do more of them. But they can take time and they involve some of their own vulnerabilities, like trees are vulnerable to storm damage. So reflective surfaces have the advantage of being relatively easy to deploy, and cooling benefits are immediate. So we think we need to complement vegetation strategies with reflective surfaces. So in Cambridge, we're trying to take an all of the above approach to urban heat island reduction. The city has started using reflective surfaces. In the upper left, you see a picture of the Springfield Street parking lot in Inman Square. Last year, our Public Works Department resurfaced the parking lot with a high albedo or reflectance material. They're hoping to do more of that. And then in the lower left, you see a graphic of our urban heat dashboard, which we developed with a scientist and also with NASA, where we mapped rooftop albedo for every building in Cambridge. So you can see all the white roofs popping up. And what we saw was that over time, basically between 2008 and 2018, the area covered by white roofs has been increasing. Next slide. So my last point is, however effective we are in reducing the urban heat island effect, we will not eliminate it, and temperatures will continue increasing due to climate change. So we need to be better prepared as communities to respond to extreme heat events. So in addition to expanding building cooling, building energy resilience, and outdoor cooling, we also need to increase social connectedness and community resilience. So some of the other speakers alluded to the fact that higher levels of social connectedness can actually save lives. That's been documented in various studies. So one of the things we're trying to do in Cambridge is actually measure social capital or connectedness to see where we're at, and use that as a baseline to hopefully increase the level of how well people are connected to each other and to institutions and to the city government. We're also trying to do more community engagement around these issues. So on the left, you see a picture of members of the Cambridge Community Corps, which is a program our public health department started in response to the pandemic to reach out to people about public health measures and COVID. And so now the department is pivoting that program to climate resilience. And so we'll be having them talk to people in the neighborhoods about measures they can take to protect themselves against extreme heat. So thank you.
Hi, everybody. So we have a few minutes to do just large group Q&A. We can monitor the chat if you want to ask your question there. But maybe I can get the conversation started with the first question while everybody or anybody adds their question to the chat. So something that I've been really trying to emphasize to folks when I talk about heat preparedness planning is that this is really an emerging area of practice. And despite how deadly heat is, very little of the research on climate change solutions has been focused on extreme heat preparedness. So a question to any of the panelists, what is something that you've learned or experienced in the last couple of years of doing this work that you wish the general public better understood, or just something that you learned that truly surprised you?
I can go. I think for me, it's just how I guess you can have the false sense of security and think that I couldn't be affected by heat stroke. Like it's for something like for people who are at risk. But I feel like just as being a human being at a certain point when it's so hot and you don't have a way to cool down, anyone can be affected by it. And I think something that was really significant for me is how grave it can be. Like you can actually die from it. So I know it's something minor, but it's something that I've learned over the years.
Yeah, I will add, I could add to that. I think in our work in Cambridge, you came to appreciate, it's, as you said, Jeanette, it's a emerging area of practice, but it's also an emerging issue for our region. And historically, we haven't really had to worry very much about extreme heat. I mean, we'd have, occasional 3 days in a row of 90 degrees, but it's usually something people could cope with. But with climate change, we're going to reach the higher ranges of the 90s and beginning more into 100-degree days as things progress. And so I think, I think our region's kind of not really prepared for this new normal of having to address heat. We're used to dealing with blizzards more than we are with heat waves.
I'm going to jump in here as well. There's been, a lot of things that I've learned, and I think, one of them, having grown up in Massachusetts, is coming from what used to be historically a cool weather climate. I think anyone perhaps that has grown up in a cool weather climate can relate to this, is really just not being used to the concept of what it means to be in cooled spaces consistently. Almost to the point of like, it feels wrong to turn on AC, even if you have it. There's kind of a barrier there. And if you're not used to that, that's not kind of part of the way that you experienced living before, that it is an adjustment that comes. But additionally, is kind of looking at, what a lot of our work focuses on, which is this like really strong connection and how between, like an access to infrastructure and the way your neighbors get to know each other, and seeing truly starting to dive in to look at how with not having a lot of space set up to be winter focused, it actually connects to our resiliency during the summer, because a lot of times we spend a lot of time more secluded during winter. We don't have as many places to form community in the winter because our parks aren't well set up, a lot of our public spaces aren't well set up in the winter, and that can really dilapidate our social networks. And by the time the summer comes around, we kind of need to be responding to heat. We may not have those connections rebuilt. So really thinking a lot about in the winter, how do we prepare communities to be ready for heat in the summer? Because I know for me, my memory of temperature is like 2 days. It'll be hot one day and I will think I can never be cold again. And once it's cold, I can't imagine ever being hot. So it's definitely.
Yeah, I can add a little bit to that. I think for me in the past year or so, the biggest highlight is kind of knowing or acknowledging the intersection of the work that we do. So I think maybe in Boston, people are more familiar with like sea level rise or coastal resilience, but the work that we do for that also overlaps with addressing urban heat islands and extreme heat. So for me, there's just a lot, the highlight has been like seeing all of the innovative ways that people have been thinking and using to address these different issues. And so that's kind of the most exciting part, especially when we think about like green stormwater infrastructure as well.
Okay, well, thank you, everybody. So I see a couple of questions in the chat, some that are targeted to a specific speaker. And actually what we are gonna do now is we're going to go into breakouts. So we're going into breakouts that are themed by cool communications, cool communities, and cooling the built environment. And our speakers will split up among those groups. So in cool communications, we'll have Aaron Noel from the city of Somerville, cool communities, Aaron Greiner, and then cooling the built environment, Dira and John. And so in those breakouts, they will be fairly informal. It's just an opportunity to get a little deeper in the conversation and ask questions that are specific to the speakers, or just talk broadly about that theme. So I will turn it, I think, Sasha, if you can help here, how folks can select their individual breakout.
Yes, so Sasha Parodi should be, the other Sasha should be setting up the breakout rooms soon. And then you will all have a button that will say join breakout room, and you should be able to add yourself to the breakouts. Then if you have any issues, myself and the other Sasha can help support that. But Sasha, I'm not sure if you've started the breakout rooms or if you need me to do that.
Nope, the breakout rooms are all set. I just wanted to say that if you are unable to see the breakout room button, just put which room you would like to be in the chat. I'm going to open the rooms now. And if you don't get a pop-up, it should be at the bottom of your Zoom screen on your Zoom bar to join a breakout room.
Yeah. So we'll do 15 minutes, and then we'll give a message that you'll be able to switch rooms, and you can either stay in the same room if you love the topic and want to keep talking about it, or you can switch rooms. So we will see you all in the rooms, in the breakouts.
And again, if folks are unable to join, please let me know in the chat. I do see one person has joined by phone. I'm going to invite you to unmute yourself so I can move you. So the person who's joining by phone, if you'd like to say which group you'd like to be in. You can unmute by clicking *6 or *9. Then I see Polly and Thomas, you're still in the main room as well. Just let us know if.
I don't know who Thomas is, but Polly is my grandma. So
Oh.
hi, Polly. I don't know if she's still on.
She is. I can update I'm gonna pause the recording.
On through the whole event tonight. We, I know a lot of us wear different hats, and I think doing a public forum like this, wanted to make sure we capture folks that maybe aren't doing this work full time or in their day job, and thinking about it. So with that, I just want to close us out. I hope you all had good discussions. I got to pop around to all of the different breakout groups and see how they were going. And I hope that you all were able to make it to the rooms that you wanted to and hear about interesting and new ways to work around extreme heat. As we've heard tonight, I think over and over, this is a new challenge for our region to be facing, from sort of a historically cooler region to now seeing more high heat days, more heat waves, and all of the health and infrastructure and other impacts that we're going to be facing because of that. And it's been great to hear of all of the work that is already happening and all of the work that we will be doing together. So I did want to thank, in addition to thanking you all for coming tonight, thank our partners on this. So particularly the Metro Mayors Coalition and City Manager Ambrosino for joining us tonight, and the Climate Task Force, all of our speakers tonight who have been working with us over the last year and a half on the regional plan, and would like to thank our funders as well, the Executive Office of Energy and Environmental Affairs that lead the MVP program, and the Bar Foundation for supporting work around extreme heat. And then, so I just want to say thank you to everyone. And then also I just want to point out, many of you may know that this is our Heat Preparedness Week. This is our second annual time doing this sort of week of action to raise awareness and do outreach and education around heat preparedness. And so this sort of acts a little bit as our kickoff to the week, but every day we'll have different themes on social media and sample social media posts that you can follow along and post to your Twitter or Instagram or LinkedIn. And also we've highlighted on, you can go to our blog, our website, that is linked here, and I can, maybe Emily can put it into the side chat, but our Planning 101 blog, the most recent post will take you to all of the different events that are happening this week and next week around heat that we're cross promoting. Tomorrow afternoon, there's an event with the National COSH on safety and health around worker heat health and some of the policies at the state and national level. And then next week, there is a event hosted by the Environmental Business Council on extreme heat and drought. So just want to make sure that you all know that there's things happening this week and next week to better prepare for heat. And we will be sending out these slides and the recording when we have it. So you all will get this in your inbox, as well as posting it on our blog later this month. And again, thank you all for coming out tonight. And I hope you all stay involved in preparing for a heat resilient future. So thank you so much.